2025 has already proven to be tumultuous, crazy, all over the place, following a tumultuous, crazy, all over the place 2024. And I know that it can feel very disorienting about trying to figure out what's going on and where we are. But I thought I'd spend a minute with you today to talk about a little bit of what you might have missed over the Christmas break. Let's start with that perennial favorite, coal. As you know, the NDP's position on coal in the eastern slopes of the Grassy Mountains is very complicated. No, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And certainly the UCP heard that. They heard it from people who love the outdoors. They heard it from farmers. They heard it from ranchers. They heard it from the people in southern Alberta whose watershed is in danger from the selenium and other dangers from the water. And they went into the 2023 election saying no more coal mining on the eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains. But then the Minister of Energy himself personally intervened. He took a defibrillator to the corpse of one of the projects and brought it back to life by writing a letter to the supposedly independent regulator. And since then, just before Christmas, we announced a new coal policy, which sounds good. It sounds like they're looking after the environment, but the first line of that policy is we need to increase our royalties from coal. In other words, we need to mine more coal. There's a lot of coal in a lot of places in the world. There are not a lot of places like the eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains in the world. And as such, we got to fight against this. We got to fight for water. We got to fight for the view. We got to fight for the landscape. We got to fight for the farmers and ranchers. And we have to oppose coal mining in the eastern slopes. Jobs and affordability. Albertans tell us over and over and over again that their number one concern is they're worried about the cost of living, as we all are. They're worried about decent jobs for now and for the future, for their kids and for their grandkids. Premier Smith has not only done nothing on a job creation policy or a new economic policy for Alberta, they're actually making life much more expensive. Great example of this is auto insurance. We pay, if not the highest, among the very highest rates of auto insurance in Canada. It's clear that our system is not working. And for those of you who've had a renewal since January 1st, you'll see that your rates went up even more. The UCP's auto insurance affordability plan is to allow auto insurance rates, already the highest in Canada, to grow by another 15% over the next 2 years, hundreds of dollars a year for the average Albertan to go from the most expensive rates in Canada to even more expensive. Then 2 years from now, just before an election, the rates will go down a little bit to still the most expensive in Canada, but you'll lose your right to sue if you were in a catastrophic accident. That's the UCP's plan on affordability. And we see this over and over and over again, whether it's on housing, on utilities, or on insurance. They simply don't care about the fact that more and more Albertans are finding it harder and harder to just get along. And healthcare, the gift that keeps on giving. Danielle Smith said she was going to fix healthcare in 90 days. As I record this, it's been 860 days since she's been the premier, and healthcare is getting worse and worse and worse. Wait lists are getting longer and longer. Nearly 1 million Albertans don't have access to a family doctor. Emergency rooms are closing on the weekends in communities across Alberta and looking at 15, 17, 20-hour waits, even when they're open. Albertans deserve better. And what do we get from this government? We get make it up as we go along. They've now fired their 4th CEO. They're on their 4th board chair of Alberta Health Services. The much vaunted reorganization into 4 different units is now 6 different units and counting, each with their own management layers. And most recently, we just learned out of the clear blue sky that optometry funding for eye care for seniors and kids has been cut, and people will now have to pay for more exams. We deserve better than this. We deserve a competent government that doesn't believe in sowing chaos. With all these changes, with all this drama, with all these challenges, let me ask you a simple question. Healthcare working for you? Do you have a family doctor? Do you have access to the care you need? Most Albertans would simply say it's worse. Premier Smith and Minister Adriana LaGrange are constantly looking for scapegoats to blame and scapegoats to fire for all of the problems in healthcare. It's time they look in the mirror. Let's stop firing scapegoats. Let's fire this government. All of this is happening at perhaps the most fraught political time I've ever seen in my life. At a time where the incoming U.S. administration has made threats against our economy, against our sovereignty, against Canada itself. And what do we got? A premier who spends her time going on Fox News, talking about how much she hates the Prime Minister, and telling the American viewers that she thinks Donald Trump is hilarious. It's not hilarious, Premier. This is serious times that call for serious grown-up actions. And yet, at a time when we need to defend Canada, the Premier is insisting that she has to go to Trump's inauguration spending untold amounts of taxpayer money, bringing untold numbers of staff, because, quote, "We've got invitations to various balls and different parties that I'll be going to," unquote. The time for balls and parties is long gone, Premier. The time for taking real action for Albertans is what matters now. This government is not interested in governing. They're not interested in solving problems that you and I are facing every single day. They're interested in power. They're interested in political points. Albertans deserve better, and with Alberta's New Democrats, better is possible.